The first thing I noticed missing was my grandmother's antique teacup. Not the whole set, just the one delicate cup with hand-painted roses that I'd inherited when she passed away last spring. I spent 3 hours searching every cabinet in the kitchen, convinced I must have misplaced it while reorganizing to make room for Barbara's medical supplies. "Are you sure you didn't pack it away somewhere?" my husband Tom asked, watching me crawl around, peering under furniture. "You've been moving things around a lot since Mom came to stay." I bit back the urge to snap that I knew exactly where everything in my house belonged. After 12 years of marriage, I'd learned to choose my battles when it came to his mother. And right now, with Barbara recovering from hip replacement surgery in our guest room, I needed to keep the peace more than ever. "Maybe you're right," I said instead, forcing a smile. "I'm sure it'll turn up." But it didn't, and over the next week, more things began to disappear. My favorite coffee mug, the throw pillows I'd hand-embroidered for our couch, the vintage cake stand that had been a wedding gift from my best friend. Small things. Things that could be explained away by absent-minded tidying or reorganization. "Melissa, honey," Barbara called from the guest room one morning, her voice syrupy sweet. "Could you bring me some fresh water? And maybe straighten up in here a bit. It's getting rather cluttered." I walked in to find her propped up in bed, surrounded by magazines and prescription bottles, looking every bit the invalid despite being 3 weeks post-surgery and perfectly capable of short walks. The room was spotless. I cleaned it myself just yesterday. "Of course," I said, taking her water glass. "But I don't see any clutter." She waved her hand dismissively. "Oh, you know what I mean. Everything's just a bit chaotic. Not quite organized properly. When I raised Tommy, I always made sure everything had its proper place." Tommy, not Tom, never Tom. In her mind, he was still her little boy, and I was the woman who'd stolen him away. "I'll take care of it," I promised, even though there was nothing to take care of. It was easier than arguing. That night, I woke to the sound of shuffling in the hallway. The digital clock on my nightstand read 3:17 a.m. Tom was snoring softly beside me, dead to the world after a long day at work. I lay still listening. The shuffling continued, followed by the distinct sound of cabinet doors opening and closing. "Barbara?" I called softly, not wanting to wake Tom. "Do you need help?" No answer, but the sound stopped immediately. When I checked the hallway, it was empty, though I could have sworn I heard her bedroom door click shut. The next morning, my mother's old recipe box was missing from its usual spot on the kitchen counter. That was the last straw. "Tom," I said over breakfast, keeping my voice carefully neutral, "have you noticed anything strange lately? Things moving around or disappearing?" He looked up from his phone, forehead creasing. "Strange how?" "Like my grandmother's teacup, and now my mom's recipe box is gone. Plus all those other things I can't find." "Mel, come on," he sighed, running a hand through his hair. "You're not suggesting what I think you're suggesting, are you? Mom can barely walk to the bathroom by herself. She's not prowling around the house stealing things." "I heard someone in the kitchen last night," I pressed. "Around 3 in the morning. She probably needed water or something for pain." He stood up, carrying his coffee mug to the sink. "Don't make this into a bigger deal than it is. Mom's still recovering and you're stressed from taking care of her. Things will get back to normal soon." But they didn't. More items vanished. Photo frames, decorative plates, even the wind chimes from our back porch. Each disappearance was met with the same response from Barbara, a blank look and a confused, "I'm sure I don't know what you're talking about, dear." I started keeping a list, not just of missing items, but times I heard noises at night, cabinet doors left slightly ajar in the morning, things that seemed subtly rearranged. Tom dismissed my concerns, but I knew I wasn't imagining things. Finally, after my late aunt's cherished silver locket disappeared from my jewelry box, I'd had enough. While Barbara was at physical therapy with Tom, I made a quick trip to the electronics store. 2 hours and 4 carefully hidden security cameras later, I had eyes on the main areas of the house: the living room, kitchen, hallway, and the door to our storage room in the basement. Just to prove to myself I'm not going crazy, I muttered as I synced the cameras to my phone. I didn't tell Tom. He would only accuse me of being paranoid and untrusting. That night, I lay awake in bed, phone clutched in my hand, waiting. At exactly 3:12 a.m., my phone buzzed with a motion alert from a hallway camera. Heart pounding, I opened the feed. The night vision footage was crystal clear. Barbara, moving with far more agility than she ever showed during the day, was methodically working her way through our hall closet. I watched in disbelief as she removed items one by one, examining them before either replacing them or tucking them into the deep pockets of her robe. But it was what happened next that made my blood run cold. After finishing with the closet, she made her way to the basement door, using a key I didn't even know existed. The basement camera activated as she descended the stairs, moving confidently in the darkness. What I saw in that footage would change everything, not just about Barbara's midnight activities, but about the entire foundation of my marriage. The basement footage showed Barbara moving with practiced efficiency through our storage area, making her way to the far corner where we kept old boxes from Tom's childhood. But instead of going through them, she pushed them aside, revealing a hidden door in the wall, a door I'd never seen before. My hands shook as I watched her unlock it and disappear inside. The camera's angle couldn't show what was in that hidden room, but I could see Barbara making multiple trips, carrying things in and out. My missing items, family heirlooms, and personal treasures were being systematically relocated to this secret space. I waited until she finished, watching as she meticulously returned the boxes to their original positions and made her way back upstairs. Only when I heard her bedroom door close did I allow myself to breathe again. Sleep was impossible after that. I lay there until sunrise, my mind racing with questions. Why would Barbara create a hidden room in our basement? What else was she keeping in there? And most troubling of all, did Tom know about it? The next morning, I waited until Tom left for work and Barbara was absorbed in her morning TV shows before making my move. The basement key was exactly where she returned it, tucked behind a loose bit of molding near the doorframe. My hands trembled as I unlocked the door and descended the stairs. The storage boxes were heavy, but adrenaline gave me strength as I pushed them aside. The hidden door was masterfully concealed. If I hadn't known exactly where to look, I never would have noticed the slight seam in the wall. The key I'd seen Barbara use wasn't with the basement key, but after a moment of searching, I found it taped beneath one of the boxes. Nothing could have prepared me for what I found inside. The room was small, maybe 8x10 feet, but every inch of wall space was covered with shelves. And on those shelves were not just my missing items, but things I recognized from Tom's childhood home. Things Barbara had claimed were lost or damaged in their move 5 years ago. Photos of Tom's late father, his college diplomas, even his grandmother's wedding ring, which Barbara had tearfully told us was stolen during a break-in. But what stopped my heart was the shrine-like arrangement in the center of the room. Photos of Tom covered one wall, hundreds of them, from childhood through to recent days. But in every photo taken after we met, I had been carefully cut out. 12 years of marriage erased with scissors and spite. Beneath the photos was a desk with a leather-bound journal. I knew I shouldn't read it. I knew some doors, once opened, could never be closed again. But I had to know. Barbara's elegant handwriting filled page after page with plans and observations. She'd been planning this room since before she moved in, using her surgery as an excuse to implement what she called the restoration. Tommy needs to remember who he really is, one entry read. That woman has changed him, made him forget his true family, but I'm slowly bringing him back. Each item I remove weakens her hold on our home. Soon there will be no trace of her influence left. Another entry made my blood run cold. The hip surgery was a small price to pay. Now I have unlimited access to begin the cleansing. Tommy is so busy at work, he never notices the small changes. Just like when he was little, Mama knows best. I was so engrossed in reading that I didn't hear the basement door open, didn't hear the footsteps on the stairs. It wasn't until a shadow fell across the journal that I realized I wasn't alone. I see you found my special place. I whirled around to find Barbara standing in the doorway, all pretense of injury gone from her posture. She stood straight and tall, looking more like an avenging angel than the frail woman who'd been playing the invalid for weeks. "How long have you been planning this?" I whispered, though I already knew the answer from her journal. "Since the day Tommy told me he was marrying you." Her voice was different too, harder, colder. "I knew you weren't right for him. Knew you'd never understand our family's ways. I've spent 12 years watching you pull him away from me, changing him, making him forget who he really is." "Tom is a grown man," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "He hasn't forgotten anything. He's just living his own life." "His own life?" Barbara laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You mean the life you've created for him?" The life where he calls me Barbara instead of Mom. Where he spends holidays with your family instead of coming home. Where she gestured at the shrine-like wall of photos. Where he smiles like God at someone other than me. I took a step back, suddenly very aware of how isolated we were in that underground room. You need help, Barbara. This isn't normal. Normal? She spat the word like it was poison. Was it normal for you to put cameras in my son's house? To spy on me? To invade my private space? Your private space? My voice rose despite my best efforts to stay calm. This is our house. Mine and Tom's. You're a guest here. A guest we took in out of kindness when you needed help. Needed help? That cold laugh again. Oh my dear, you still don't understand, do you? I didn't need help. I needed access. And you? She smiled, reaching for something on one of the shelves. You gave it to me. What happened next would forever change the dynamics of our family, though not in the way Barbara had planned. Mom? Mel? Tom's voice echoed from upstairs, followed by footsteps on the basement stairs. Are you down here? Barbara's expression flickered, the first genuine surprise I'd seen on her face. She hadn't expected him home early. Neither had I. We're in here, Tommy, she called out, her voice instantly transforming back into the sweet, maternal tone I'd grown to distrust. Your wife has been going through some of our old things. The sound of boxes being moved. Then Tom appeared in the doorway, his expression shifting from confusion to shock as he took in the hidden room, the shrine of photos, the shelves lined with our missing possessions. What is all this? He asked, his eyes darting between us. Oh honey, Barbara rushed to him, arms outstretched. I didn't want you to find out like this. I've been trying to protect you. She's been changing you, pulling you away from your family, from me. I had to save these things, preserve them, keep them safe until you remembered who you really are. Tom stood frozen, staring at the wall of mutilated photos, 12 years of memories where I'd been methodically erased, cut away like a cancer Barbara thought she could remove from her son's life. The surgery, he said slowly, his voice hollow. It was fake, wasn't it? Barbara stepped back, clearly thrown by the question. Tommy, no, I don't. His voice cracked. Don't lie to me anymore, Mom. I saw you on the security footage. Mel sent it to my phone an hour ago. My heart skipped. I hadn't sent him anything, but Tom's eyes met mine briefly, and I understood. He was giving me an out, letting Barbara think I'd gone to him first instead of snooping on my own. You watch me. Barbara's voice rose, hysteria creeping in. In my own son's house. Your son's house, Tom repeated, moving fully into the room. My house. Mine and Mel's, not yours. He picked up the journal from the desk, flipping through pages. How long have you been planning this? The surgery, the secret room, all of it. You don't understand, Barbara pleaded. I did it for you. She's changed you. The way you dress, the way you talk, even the food you eat. My Tommy would never. Your Tommy grew up. The words exploded from him with such force that both Barbara and I jumped. I'm not a child anymore, Mom. I'm a man with my own life, my own home, my own wife. And this, he gestured at the shrine-like wall. This is sick. No, Barbara whispered, backing away. No, you don't mean that. She's making you say these things. Just like she's been making you. Mel hasn't been making me do anything. Tom cut her off. She's been loving me, supporting me, letting me be myself instead of trying to force me to stay frozen in time as your little boy. Tears streamed down Barbara's face now, but they weren't the calculated drops she usually employed to get her way. These were real, desperate tears of a woman watching her carefully constructed world crumble. I want you out, Tom said quietly. Today. I'll call Aunt Susan to come get you. Tommy, please. And I want everything back where it belongs. Every photo, every item, every piece of our lives you tried to hide away. Mel will supervise while you return them. Barbara turned to me then, and for the first time, I saw her clearly, not as the manipulative mother-in-law who made my life difficult for 12 years, but as a lonely, frightened woman who couldn't accept that her son had grown up. I'll help you pack, I said softly, and I'll make sure everything gets back to its proper place. 3 hours later, Barbara was gone, along with the shrine to her obsession. As Tom and I stood in her bedroom, watching Aunt Susan's car disappear down the street, he turned to me. I'm sorry, he said, pulling me close. I should have seen it sooner. Should have believed you when things started disappearing. I leaned into his embrace, feeling the tension of the past weeks finally begin to fade. How did you know to come home early? He smiled slightly. You weren't the only one who noticed things. I've suspected something was wrong with Mom for a while now. The surgery seemed too convenient, her behavior too calculated. When the cameras caught motion at 3 a.m., they sent alerts to both our phones. I saw everything you saw. Why didn't you say anything? I needed to see how far she would go, what she would do when confronted. And he hesitated. I needed to be ready to choose between the mother who raised me and the woman I chose to spend my life with. We spent the rest of the day restoring our home, putting each missing item back in its proper place. My grandmother's teacup returned to its shelf. The family photos, now whole again, went back on the walls. As I hummed the wind chimes on the back porch, their gentle tinkling seemed to signal a fresh start. That night, for the first time in weeks, our house was quiet at 3 a.m. No footsteps, no shifting furniture, no secret missions in the dark. Just the peaceful silence of a home where everything and everyone was exactly where they belonged.